We're racing toward the extinction of our species. We not only lack dominion over nature, we're subordinate to it.
I think the original Jurassic Park, it meant a lot to both of us. Just like everybody, who remembers exactly where they were when they saw Jurassic Park for the first time. Each of us were in a cinema, although on opposite ends of the country. And, I was 13, she was 12, and we were watching cinema usher in a new era, really, where CGI was going to essentially show us what, up until that point, only our imaginations could have conceived. And so it was pretty extraordinary. And now that we've done Jurassic World Dominion and we've been able to share the screen with the icons of Jurassic Park, it means so much more.
Yeah, I mean, it's a huge honor to get to be a part of the Jurassic franchise, in particular the fact that this is the grand finale. So it's incredibly meaningful and surreal. And to be here, especially now, getting to celebrate the release of this film means all the more because this movie was supposed to originally be released last year. And so there's a lot of anticipation for both audiences and for ourselves. Mm-hmm. So it's a very exciting time.
I saw the first Jurassic Park when I was 16 years old, so I was right in that place where I was still a child, but also a teenager who wanted to be a filmmaker. And oftentimes you look at the craft and the form and you think about it in the context of your knowledge of filmmaking. And what was amazing to me about that film is that it stripped all that away from me, and it reduced me to an 8-year-old kid, and I pretty much remained that way for the rest of the movie.
Something that they could see and touch.
I don't remember how I celebrated, but I do remember how it felt. It was surreal. I was really excited, and I Guardians of the Galaxy had not come out, although we had filmed it. So I didn't know how that was going to be received, and I was just grateful that I'd gotten another job, because part of me thought Guardians of the Galaxy was going to be a huge flop, just like everyone predicted. And I was like, well, at least I got another job lined up. That's cool. It sounds like it could be really good. I remember talking to my manager, who's got incredible discernment. She was like, boy, this feels like it has all of the makings of a massive movie, and the story is really great. The filmmaker's amazing. I think this is a go. And so when they offered it to me, and I was of course accepting, I just remember thinking like a sense of relief. There's a cloud of uncertainty that follows most actors around, and that cloud seemed to dissipate for what would be at least a year of my life, and I was really grateful for that.
Yeah, being invited to do Jurassic World, like what Chris said, was one of the kind of most surreal moments of my life. And I remember meeting Colin. We did like a Skype call. He told me the story of Jurassic World, and I was like, oh my gosh, he's really sharing like some spoilers here. This is kind of amazing. And then a few weeks later, he called me, and he was at the top of a mountain in Hawaii. And was just like, hey, I've been trying to reach you because I wanted to ask you to be in our movie. And I think I sat down very slowly. I think that's kind of what happened.
That's
I was
how you
sort
celebrated?
of like, yeah, that's how I celebrated, was I sat down very slowly. I was pretty stunned. I was definitely stunned.
I don't remember celebrating that. I probably have learned since that I should celebrate the moments along the way. I took it as a great responsibility. I took it very seriously, and I don't think that I've stopped feeling that way about it in the 9 years since that day. Maybe now, if people like this movie, I will finally celebrate. Jurassic World took a lot of dreaming and then a lot of research on how theme parks and resorts have been built in the modern world, how they function. We went to Universal in Orlando and looked behind the scenes at the control room and how they actually operated. And so we wanted to make something that was indelible, that was iconic in its own way, that felt real, because we were actually going to build it, and that set existed. And at the time, I don't even know that I realized how rare it is to build a set the size that we built when we made Jurassic World. And now I look back on it, and honestly, I can't believe that we did it.
I promise you, I am going to get her back.
In the first film, Owen probably hoped Claire would take that stick out of her butt, you know? And if she did, she might be just the kind of gal he'd want to be with. But at that point in his life, he'd be too scared to be committed to her, so it wouldn't have worked out. What happened over the course of 10 years is she evolved from being a girl who could barely hug her own nephews to a doting mother and a powerhouse mama action hero. And Owen turned from a guy who would have ran from her into a guy who would run toward her and would do anything he could to protect her, the relationship they have, and the kid that they're bringing up as their own. So it's been an incredible arc, really, for two characters. We've watched the relationship truly evolve over the course of the 3 films, and it's been really fun. It's been an incredible 8 years.
You know, I feel like I have found a lot of success casting actors who have a part of the character in them. And, you know, Bryce's connection to Claire and Chris's connection to Owen, I think really helped us not just create the characters in the first place, but decide how they would change over time and where they would end up. And the fact that, you know, we all grew up together while we were making these movies. We all have kids who are about the same age, so those two characters evolving into parents who are focused on protecting their child felt most personal to us, and I thought, you know, seeing that happen over the course of 6-7 years was something that was just really satisfying.
Run!
See? Not so bad.
Well, in Jurassic World Dominion, the way that Colin Trevorrow, the director, describes it is that it was a tennis ball free movie.
Yes.
So there were a lot of animatronic dinosaurs that we were able to act opposite from. And that experience, I mean, honestly, it just feels like you're in a room with a dinosaur because it's a giant robot operated by dozens of people. And it's an absolutely terrifying and enthralling experience. There's also the preparation that is required for any Jurassic movie, or I could say any action film, which is that you want to be ready to take some body hits, to run a lot. I mean, these are things that you need to be prepared to do many, 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 many times. So there is the physical preparation aspect of it. And it was always cool because Colin would keep us very much so in the loop as to what he was imagining, what he was writing with Emily Carmichael, so that we had the chance to prepare.
It's been exciting to see them all. You know, seeing the Raptors in all their glory has been amazing, and Dominus Rex, seeing what that would look like in the final form was really exciting. Obviously, T-Rex, the only star to have appeared in all 6 films. Flying dinosaurs. I mean, it's hard to say. They're all just so extraordinary in their own way.
I like baby dinosaurs.
Yeah.
Whenever there's a baby dinosaur, I get very excited.
In this film, we have dinosaurs with feathers for the first time in the franchise, and it was a challenge for us to really understand how feathers react to snow and water and wind. It is a really challenging thing for animators to create, for our animatronic to feel natural and real. And so a lot of experimenting went on as we made a couple dinosaurs, the Therizinosaurus, the Pyroraptor. Our goal was to make it not look like a 6-foot turkey and feel actually scary, which I hopefully think we did. You know, we told 2 stories that had hybrid dinosaurs in them, and I really wanted to make sure that, especially since we were bringing the legacy characters back in the spirit of Jurassic Park and of Michael Crichton, that we made a science thriller that really focused on the paleontological record, even though, of course, we always are going to, you know, make slight changes to account for the fact that these dinosaurs have been, you know, brought back from DNA. We wanted this to feel like the same kind of science thriller that Jurassic Park was. Blue represented the suggestion that dinosaurs are animals, and animals and humans do have bonds and can connect. And so in the creation of this relationship between Owen and Blue, even though characters in the movie either don't understand it or even make fun of it, you know, there is something, I think, way deep down that is soulful and beautiful about a human connecting with an animal. I looked at the T-Rex as a character who we've known for almost 30 years, who really needs to find home and to find family. We've really never seen her see others like her, and so seeing her displaced in Fallen Kingdom, seeing her out on the run, being chased by helicopters and confused about where she is, I felt like we would really want her to find her place in this world, and hopefully that's a story that we could really connect to.
I wanted to show them something that wasn't an illusion.
Well, the second movie was really designed to set up the third movie. And so it's this interesting framework because what needed to happen in the second movie was the island needed to be destroyed, and you needed to also create a story that would end in, planting the seed for the proliferation of these dinosaurs. That would be the landscape that would set up the third movie. So it was very much an interesting challenge for the writers and for J.A. to deliver a movie that was structurally really kind of unlike any of the Jurassic films that had come before. And so because of that movie, we're able to do what we're now doing in this film, which is the big payoff, the big question of, can humans and dinosaurs coexist? Not during a mishap in a theme park in this sort of like man over animal in a zoo type of scenario, but rather in a world where the Pandora's box has been opened, this technology exists, these animals exist all around the world. What does that look like, and can man and creature coexist?
Well, Fallen Kingdom was directed by J.A. Bayona, who's a brilliant filmmaker, and I had the opportunity to watch another director work from start to finish and make a film, and I learned so much from him. I honestly think I'm a better director as a result of getting to watch him work. And the film we made there told a story that we pay off in Jurassic World Dominion. I hope that once you see this movie, when you watch the whole trilogy, it'll be very clear that, we were telling a story the whole time.
Don't move. Bigger. Why do they always have to go bigger?
It was bananas to get to be in a movie with not just Laura Dern, Jeff Goldblum, and Sam Neill, but the characters they played in the original Jurassic Park. This was always designed to be the finale for not just Jurassic World, but also Jurassic Park. So there are storylines that were established in 1993 in the original Jurassic Park that get paid off in Jurassic World Dominion. Wow. And to get to be in the movie that does that is so thrilling. When we were on set, there were many times when we were like,
It's true.
Like,
That's
it was
true.
just, as a fan, it was such a thrilling experience, and I can imagine for audiences that they're going to feel the same way that we felt making the movie.
Yeah, I mean, we were kids when we saw this film, and they were cemented in our minds as the icons they are, and to be able to share the screen with them, it's a delight. Got to not only work with them and learn from them professionally, but also get to know each of them as people through the course of filming this. It was an incredibly intimate experience, given the circumstances under which we filmed this movie, and yeah, they're even better people than they are actors, and that's saying a lot. They're just fantastic, and they are our lifelong friends moving forward, whether they like it or not. Sorry, Laura, Jeff, Sam, you can't get rid of us.
No.
We're your best friends now.
Mm-hmm.
What was most interesting to us was understanding if any of them knew any of the others, what they thought of each other. Does Alan Grant know that Owen Grady is this guy who trained raptors? Did Owen Grady read Alan Grant's book? They seem like simple questions, but the answers would really inform how each of them would interact and what their dynamics would be. So we figured that out first, and then we let each of our actors, in a lot of cases, follow their own instincts, because I think actors are authorities on their characters, especially if you've been playing them as long as Laura Dern has, as Sam Neill has, Jeff Goldblum. So I relied on them to tell me how they would feel and what they would do. In the case of this film, we had been living together in a hotel in the middle of a pandemic for quite a while. We were in quarantine for a bit, and texting each other cat videos from our rooms in solitary. So we knew each other pretty well, and by the time we got on set, we knew exactly what we wanted to do, because we had been able to spend time figuring that out before we got there, and we were very prepared, and we had to be because of the situation we were in. We just powered through, and I'm so proud of everybody who worked on this film, because they really managed to step up in a pretty challenging situation.
everything with the motorcycles is pretty great. I truly love Claire opening Paddock 9 and the first, Jurassic World film, running in high heels with the flare and the glistening sweat, and just, she was so sexy and powerful and cool, and it was like this full circle moment. I love that. She continues to become even more badass in this movie with like winning knife fights and delivering one-liners and jumping across alleyways from roof to roof, and it's real action hero stuff. It's just awesome. That's what stands out right now, but there's so much action, it's hard to pick just one thing.
Yeah, I've learned so much getting to work with this guy because he is a true action hero. And there were so many sequences that started off basically being like a 60-second sequence, and then by the time Chris was done performing it, it was an epic kind of like 3-scene extravaganza. And he understands action so innately and is constantly finding moments for everyone else in the scene to shine. And it's such a joy to work with him and to watch him do his thing as well.
Two different answers. The most challenging was definitely the Malta sequence. We really changed the language of these movies and the way that we shot it. It was handheld. It was moving at high speeds and very loose and kind of junky and dirty in ways that I was really excited about doing. But my favorite probably is the scene with Claire and the Therizinosaurus, because it feels like the essence of what I love about Jurassic Park. It's almost silent, it's pure terror, and it's a character doing something smart in order to survive. So I would say that's the one that I like the most.
Ellie Sattler.
Alan Grant.
You didn't come out all this way just to catch up now, did you?
You coming or what?
For me, it was John Michael Crichton coming to visit the set in the first movie.
That's nice.
Michael Crichton's son, who when he was he never met his father, sadly, because Michael Crichton died very suddenly while his mother was pregnant with John Michael, and so getting to have him come to set, and it was the day in the first Jurassic World that we were working with the dying Apatosaurus, and it was one of the only animatronics that we had in the first film. And John Michael was, young, like 7, 8 years old, and he came up to the dinosaur and he said to his mom, he goes, "Mom, it's a real dinosaur! It's a real dinosaur!" And I just burst into tears because it's a legacy that his father has left for all of us, but most especially for his own son.
It's hard to pick just one. It's been 8 magnificent years.
The boardwalk stuff was so amazing.
Yeah.
With the 800 background.
800 background and the heat in New Orleans and this abandoned Six Flags that we had turned into the Jurassic World Park. That was pretty extraordinary. Owen and Claire kissing in the middle of all of the action. Me throwing Marty off of myself, and like all of that boardwalk stuff was incredible. The first original riding that scrambler around and being chased by raptors through the forest, and actually riding a motorcycle through the jungles in Hawaii at like 2 in the morning in a night shoot. That was just
Remember
epic.
when we were
smoking
on
cigars all day on set? That was fun.
Remember the back of was it an ATV or something, and that you were driving, and it was like down this hill, and I was like, "Oh my God, this is so fun! This is so fun!" And Chris goes, "Do you feel safe?" And I was like, "Yeah." Chris was driving. He goes, "Good, because you're not."
That's true.
I was like, "Whee!" You're like, "This is dangerous."
This is dangerous. Yeah.
Getting stuck in the car. That was fun.
Oh yeah, yeah. They had this. Was it a BMW or
a Mercedes?
It was a Mercedes. Yeah, Mercedes. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like this new car, this Mercedes car, and they sent out like security. Literally would not let this car be seen because it was some new super
model.
Special car that whatever gives a. And we're stuck in this car, and every
time a helicopter would go by,
and anytime they would say cut, they would come wrap the car in like a big black cloth, and unless we got out of the car immediately, we would get trapped inside of the car in a big black cloth in the middle of the Hawaiian heat. So they're like, cut, and they just like legit wrapped us in the car, and so we had to sit there and wait until the next shot, and while we're sweating our butts off because they couldn't bother to let us out in time to cover their precious car.
Remember on The Eternity Beach, From Here to Eternity.
Oh, that was
my gosh,
so
and all
nice.
the sand in our ears.
Yes, I
Yeah,
still have
for
some
like
sand
a
in my
year.
ears from that.
Mine
yeah.
are finally gone.
Yeah, no,
I checked the other day.
Yeah, we laid on the beach where From Here to Eternity was shot, and it was just fantastic.
And we got sand in our ears for
so
years.
much 'cause we had to lay back
Years.
and be like, oh, I'm so exhausted, and the water was coming up, but it's like creating this slush of sand that would literally fill our ears.
And they're like, keep your head down. Keep your head down. And the water would come up.
That was rough.
Yeah, a little waterboarding for.
I have a lot of different answers for that, but I would say probably at the end of all of it, we had all of our characters in the finale of this film, when they're all packed into the helicopter at the very end. That was the last thing we did. We put them in a tiny little space, and I could see all of their faces alongside each other, and I was just so grateful that we'd made it to that point, that we actually had a movie that we could now share with the rest of the world and get people to come back to theaters together to see. It was very emotional, and it's definitely not something I'm going to forget.
Everybody hold on to somebody. That can't be right.
The last day on set of Jurassic World Dominion was a very special day because the entire cast was together, and that's something that we had all been looking forward to. We had experienced a bit here and there, but that last final sequence was absolutely epic, and it's when the two and then three dinosaurs are fighting.
Yeah, agreed. Epic.
Jeff Goldblum recited a poem that we do have footage of, and you'll see it someday. It's on the Blu-ray, but with everyone in packed together, he beautifully encapsulated how we all felt with poetry.
Blue had a baby. That's impossible.
Hey, girl.
You look just like your mother.
Well, I think when you see the film, you'll see how important she is, and I found Isabella's performance in this movie to be so beautiful, and what mattered to us the most is that we've put a human face on this sense of displacement and the sense of searching for an identity of, who am I if there was another who was genetically identical to me. And all of those questions, we asked in Fallen Kingdom, and I hope we answered them in a satisfying way here. Emily Carmichael, my co-writer on this, was really instrumental in really figuring out exactly what story we wanted to tell when it comes to Maisie and her history, and it's one of the things I'm most proud of in this movie.
We made a terrible mistake.
The doomsday clock might be about out of time.
Well, in a lot of ways, Dr. Wu is the most important character. He's the one who created this technology. John Hammond was, he used to run a circus. He's a showman, but this is the genius who feels as if he actually didn't receive the credit that he deserves. And I think that need for recognition has driven him to keep pushing it and make a lot of, really not so good decisions. And in this film, he's gone a bit too far, and he's made a decision that threatens the entire planet. And I really wanted him to have a moment of redemption and a place where he really has to decide, which side of the line is he going to fall on. And in this film, he makes a choice.
That's another plane, right?
Not exactly.
Well, look, the only thing that makes for a perfect Jurassic Park movie is Jurassic Park. And I think once you accept that, and you know that as a filmmaker, your goal is to take something that is a perfectly tended garden and then plant something new, respecting the foundation that movie was built on. And it was built on science, and it was built on a question asked by Michael Crichton about our place in this world and our responsibility in the shadow of nature and its power. And hopefully we've asked that question in this film in a way that honors what he did. Well, it is the end of this story that we've been telling, and the end of these 6 movies, and yet in this film, it was really important to us to introduce new characters and new heroes that fans and especially the next generation can want to follow, and I'm confident they will. So for me, I know that there's a young filmmaker out there who has the passion for this that I have and that I had 8 or 9 years ago that'll see this new world that we've created and know what story there is to tell. So whoever you are, if he or she is out there, we're listening. I think I've told my story. I think I've told my story. I think it's good to pass the torch. I had the torch passed to me, and I think it's my responsibility to pass it to somebody else.